been a little while since we did a video here, so I'll give you an update. We got our motor back in and it runs still. It's amazing. It doesn't leak oil or nothing now, so pretty jazzed about that. We've got our second alternator in here now. Haven't wired that up or nothing yet, but it's in there. Hasn't thrown the belt off yet, so that was pretty cool. It was kind of weird. This sucker really just dropped right in there without too much of a fight. I just had to rig up a modified bracket on the right side of it there though, but a Ford alternator on a GM engine, spacing and all, dropped right in there, belt lined right up perfectly, same pulley and everything. It was pretty awesome, so I'm not complaining about that at all. But so yeah, pretty happy with the motor. It's running good. You got the heater core bypass now. Put some all new hoses back here. We got the motor back in here. It's kind of goofy plumbing on this guy here, but that's a stock hose for it. So I guess the radiator might be just a little off from where it originally was, but whatever, it's in there now. So we're done with the motor for right now. I'm gonna do the wiring later once we get the front all framed off. Drug home about 220 feet of steel this morning for the sides and all. Basically gonna build a cage that kind of goes around the motor compartment. That'll be permanent decking on the top with a hood that lifts up for it so we can get to the motor. The front half of the the hull's gonna have to come apart so we can get this thing on the trailer, because it's gonna come forward from the firewall about 6 feet to the tip of the bow. So anyways, that triangular piece that bolts around the side of the motor, that'll have to be disassembled every time we tow it. But I'm gonna try to make that so it comes apart and goes back together quick and easily without too much fuss. Got our frame brackets all spot welded on here, and nothing's permanent yet. We're kind of doing a little trial and error run here. Started working on that about 2 weeks ago or so, and still got to figure out what we're doing on the front half of this thing. That's going to be the big question right there. But anyways, today I just finished up welding, well, just kind of tack welding. I'm still kind of experimenting here. I got to get my dad, the engineer, over here to look at this to see if this thing's going to actually hold the weight of a couple people up on top of this. Just the top rail here. Once that drops out, it'll be 2 feet wide for the catwalk. It'll just have probably 2x6 wooden decking across that section of it. Where the motor's going to be in the back there, that's going to be open mesh. Nobody will be walking on that because there won't be any room to walk on it. So I'm going to leave that open, keep the weight down, but it'll still be filled in case somebody gets back there or whatever. They won't fall and get caught up in the wheels or nothing. But anyways, so these will drop out. Worked out perfectly, actually. Really happy how that came out. Not 100% sure on our hinge mounts here. Like I said, we're just kind of mocking this up right now. Nothing is permanent yet. This antique piece of steel here I found, but hey, it was free laying around. So it's kind of just temporary on some of this stuff. I'm not sure what's going to stay and what's going to go, but still got to build some more bracing off the back side of this one to get up into the cross member to make that stronger. Probably the same thing on the back one. This one here probably okay. But anyways, this thing's gonna be holding the weight of a couple people on it, so it's got to be pretty strong. Whatever. Decided that this is gonna be aluminum. I think this section here, it's about 8 feet long. I think that 4x8 sheet of aluminum is about 43 pounds. About. Still not sure what gauge of aluminum we're going to use for the sheeting on this thing. But anyways, then I also got to figure out how I'm going to frame the bottom half. Then probably put one or two pieces in there just to kind of keep this thing from fluxing around. Hopefully it's not going to rattle too bad. Have to glue everything down. A little more work on the wheelhouse. I realized when this thing, actually it's not going to be too bad now after all, but I figured right now I just open the door, I can step right up there and step right in there. But when this thing's on the trailer and all assembled, I'm not going to be able to open that door. And getting into the back, I was going to have to climb up over that half wall, which in the back of the bed is exactly 5 feet high. So I figured I'm just going to stick a door in there. So add a door here. Tarp's in the way right now. But I don't know. There's wood all up in here. It rained the other night. And all this gook. I don't know if that's black mold or what the heck that is. But anyways, a lot of this is probably just going to be a 1 year run. And then rip it all out and put some better treated lumber in here. Or make it steel lumber. I don't know. But I never really counted on this being a permanent fixture. I had a bunch of extra leftover 2x4s, and that's kind of what I started with, just to get a experiment with proportions and where stuff was going to end up. I just kind of started building this thing with the idea in my head and going from there. The front of it still kind of I'm not really sure where that's going to go. These will be enclosed. This section in here, I got to get that closed off somehow too. Cut these off. I'm not sure exactly where all that's going to end up yet. I know the bed rail is going to have a 2x6 turn sideways on it with decking across that, so that'll be the final height of the catwalk. This could be a step up or down or whatever, transition in here, I don't care. It is what it is, whatever it's going to be. That are on the front of this too, probably about this height here. That'll, like I said, be permanent decking over the engine frame part of it. That won't have to come apart. But whatever we build in here, we'll just have a couple sections that drop into place when we're ready to go have some fun. And then we can just pull them off real quick to get them back on the trailer and such. But yeah, I was real pleased with how this came out. It's still kind of an experimental process right now, but anyways, I'm going to probably have chains on here, so just for safety, to hold like a limiter, so when this thing, whatever isn't going to hold this thing in place when it's being towed or whatever, if that gets pulled off, whatever, it'll drop out to exactly 2 feet for my decking. And I'm going to have like a limiter chain on that, so it can't fall all the way out. If we have to do maintenance to replace, change a tire or whatever, we can just drop those chains, and then the whole sides will drop all the way down to the ground. Same thing, so we can access our batteries, and I'm gonna have all the amplifiers in here for the sound system, and I don't know, just kind of a couple other, I don't know what else is gonna end up in here, but it's not gonna be perfectly not airtight, but dust-free environment. But that play dust is nasty stuff. But the inverter is gonna be in here too, so that'll be a good place to tuck them away. But anyways, probably have a trap door in the floor, the wheelhouse. We can get down in there while this thing's up and running and fully assembled. But for maintenance wise, this side will drop down, and then we can get that door open there if we got to do some work. And same thing when we get to the other side, if we got to work on service or pedals. I got them working a little bit better, but we're still not 100% on the pedal setup. Brakes are kind of dragging, but I think it was mostly because my wheel cylinder leaked and it soaked my brake shoes with dust or brake fluid, so they're sticking because I had this thing with the parking brake on as it's been sitting here forever not being driven. So I actually turned this thing around in the street 2 weeks ago, so we got the Mustang out. Mustang was out for a little run in the canyon, first time in about a year, made it out of the garage, so that was fun. But yeah, this thing was kind of sketchy to drive with. I put a temporary brace on it to fall off this thing when I was driving it, but yeah, the brakes are grabbing really bad on that back wheel here. So I think I got that all cleaned up. I took it apart, cleaned it up and sanded that all down, and it looks brand new pretty much back there, so I think we'll be okay. But yeah, I did a little more experimenting with, or brainstorming, trying to figure out what we're going to do. If worst case scenario, if this front end can't hold the weight that I want it to, I think I'm going to leave the four-wheel drive intact, but I think I'll pop these shocks out, and in their place I will, I guess, make some kind of a tubular piece that'll basically bolt in place of the shock, but it'll lock that suspension component up, so it won't have any front suspension. But anyways, I can at least put a lot more payload in this thing, more people in it or whatever. The rear end's going to be a piece of cake. I already got the springs for it in the garage or somewhere buried up there, but I got some brand new leftover Jeep Wrangler springs, so coils that are just going to go right between the leaves and the frame, so that'd be a total piece of cake. Let's bolt those guys right up in here. Got a perch here, so I'll have to cut the springs a little bit, but that'd be a total piece of cake. I say that now, but we'll see how if it's going to be that easy to cut off this exhaust, whatever, and turn that down, because the bottom of the boat body is going to be right here, and that exhaust is going to be blowing straight up once it hits the side of this thing and making a big old hot spot in the aluminum. So let's turn that down. Generator is going to be in the back here. Get the tailgate back on there just for kind of mock up. Swings right open, so generator is going to be back here somewhere off in this one corner. Put like a box, kind of, I don't know, decorative, put it in a crate or something like that. Make it harder for people to steal. And anyways, get that out of the way. I'm not exactly sure if we're going to have steps going off the back off one direction, or like two-step kind of platform off the back of the ship here. But anyways, that's a later project. But once he's fulled out, I'm going to close this off with a steel panel or make it wood or whatever. So the tailgate will be exposed as it is, but the rest of this will be kind of more flat. But it'll look like the back of a boat pretty much. So that'll be kind of cool and fun. But anyways, that's where we're at. Snagged another used radiator fan. I'm going to probably stick it up here where my refrigerator shelf was. I think it was a shelf out of a freezer of an old fridge I had in there. But hey, it was free. I was worried about nailing that radiator. But anyways, yeah, I had this thing up and running for a good 20 or so minutes, whatever. The RPM's up a bit. And it was pretty warm out that day. And cycled the fan on and off a couple times, but it seemed like it wanted to behave itself. It didn't want to run too hot. This is a stock radiator for V6. It's not huge. I was thinking afterwards I probably should have got a bigger radiator, but I didn't want to have to deal with trying to find a heater or radiator hoses that would fit in from, I don't know, have to put reducers on them. Because this project right here, the Mustang, was a total nightmare trying to get heater hoses for, because I put a truck radiator in it. But we did a lot of sorting. Guys at the auto parts store hated me, but after about swapping out 2 or 3 hoses, taking them home and trying, not having any luck and bringing it back, we got something that fit in there. But anyways, at least the stock AC belt still fit. So I measured everything on my tensioner and all to make sure I had the same tension on this thing, because I didn't want nothing slipping. But we'll definitely get a spare belt to take with us. So if this thing throws a belt, we'll at least have one more chance to have some more fun before it does it again. But yeah, it seemed to behave itself, so I don't think we'll have any issues with this thing. We're not going to be turning high RPM or nothing, so I think that'll be fine. But anyways, so I don't know what we're going to just try to keep on carrying on with our sides here in our hull. I want to really get this thing framed out now, and I'll probably start enclosing the back, get some plywood here pretty soon. Skin the back of that in plywood. I want to get this thing painted too before that wood gets any worse. So summer's here, and this stuff's drying out really bad and cracking and warping already. So like I said, it's just kind of a temporary deal. But shifter's staying. I think I already said that before. I fixed the hole in the floor where that rod was going down to the transmission. It was jamming up and real bad, and it kept on getting stuck, and I didn't like it at all. But now that I fixed it, it actually shifts pretty smoothly and it works pretty good. So hey, eventually maybe I'll put a cable shifter in this thing, but for right now, just going this first year or whatever, we're gonna just go with what we got. So we're hoping to use this thing for Halloween, and then the local Christmas light parade here this year. The thing probably won't be done, but the parade, we're not gonna be able to have the wings on it because I got telephone poles and telephone lines and power lines that got to go underneath. So for safety and national required, they won't allow you to run nothing higher than, I think, 13 or 14 feet tall in that parade anyway. So you got to keep them happy. And plus, I think they limit you on your width. So anyways, we'll be fine. But we'll see how it goes. We've got some stage lighting order for this thing, and FedEx destroyed my box on the way here, so that didn't happen. And anyways, I got some landing lights and LED spotlights. I got those the other day. Those all got here safely, and just kind of getting little pieces here and there that I see on sale and stuff that I see once in a while. So, hey, that'll be perfect for the mutant vehicle, so we grab it and we'll use it somehow. But anyways, that's where we're at. Building our sides here. I'm gonna move forward. Probably do the piece on the door. I don't know. See what the engineer says if we need to use one here in the center, because we'll definitely have people on this. Only half of that back section from that first middle, or the middle piece of the first piece, is going to have the weight of people on it. That back's just going to be supporting the weight of the sheet metal. Because like I said, the engine, we're making out of 55-gallon drums and some other oddball parts. That's going to come probably about 2 feet above that catwalk, so you can't walk past the thing anyways. I don't know, a drunk person might try, but I don't know what we're doing for railings on this thing yet, but probably just poles and ropes, but I don't know, it might have a solid rail on it. But we'll see how that works out. But anyways, that's where we're at today.